We have reached number 46 on our list, and it is none other than the legend, Gata Kamsky, born in 1974. Novokuznetsk in the Soviet Union would later go on to represent the United States of America. He's 46 years old at this point. Peter, what is his claim to the top 50?
Well, his main claim, I would say, is reaching a World Championship final in 1996 against Vichy Anand. Maybe we're making an exception there because it's actually the FIDE cycle, while there was the PCA cycle at the time. But at that point, both PCA and FIDE challengers was sort of a typical candidate system with candidate matches. And, for instance, Kamsky, in order to reach the final, he actually managed to beat a young Vladimir Kramnik and a young Vichy Anand, while in the PCA cycle, he then, I think a few months later, lost a match to Vichy. So at this point, it was very big competitive between those. And, Kamsky happened to win the FIDE cycle, not the PCA cycle. So he had to challenge Karpov and not Kasparov, like it was Anand who got to do at that time. But Kamsky was very much within the mix of world title contenders. He wins a match with a quite big plus score against Kramnik, as we will see a game from later. And he managed to win 1 out of 2 matches against a young Anand at that time. So he was really part of the world elite who was trying to dethrone Karpov and Kasparov at the time. Then also, his highest rank, I think, is number 4 in the world. And he got at least an historical rating of 27.29. 27.79. These two things maybe doesn't really qualify from the Hall of Fame. And you can also say that as he stopped at some point, maybe he wouldn't have gotten in. But then he actually made a comeback later in chess, and he won the World Cup in 2007. And normally that would have meant he would have won the right to challenge Vichy Anand for the title. But at that point, there was, let's say, FIDE shenanigans, where Topalov's manager had managed to negotiate that Topalov got an extra match against the qualifier, which was then Gata Kamsky. So, Kamsky lost that match and didn't get to play for the world title in 2007. But normal means he actually managed to qualify for it. So he has kind of a broken career where in the sort of 10 years earlier in his youth, he qualifies to play Karpov. And then 11 years later, despite having a big break, having taken off to study and such, he makes a huge comeback into the world of chess again and getting close to a title match there. So I think somehow when you put these two things together, it shows some longevity and qualifies him for a place in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, not just longevity, but also pure class. Take 8 years off, then come back. I remember playing him when he came back in like 2004, 2005. He was playing these rapid tournaments in the Marshall Chess Club. And I thought, wow, this guy, he will struggle to get back into it. But then like 2-3 years later, he wins the World Cup, which just shows,
how
how
think
much
also
was built up there in chess strength.
I played him myself, I think, in the 2006 Olympiad, and I just felt helpless with the white pieces. I mean, he's not a strong theoretician and maybe not, at the biggest strategist, but he's such a good over-the-board player, right? I mean, so determined, so much energy, so much willing to fight. And I think also he's praised by some saying his defensive tenaciousness, that while people in a worse position, they say they try to make tricks to get out of it. He just tries to hang in there and has made a ton of comebacks like that and such. No, he's a unpleasant over-the-board player, but unpleasant meant as a compliment in the sense that he's just very difficult to handle like that.
For sure. What else is there to say? He's won a bunch of US championships. But I do recall mainly for me, when I was young, getting into chess in these mid-90s, you just didn't know if Kramnik or Vichy or Kamsky were the better players and would emerge victorious from these matches, which really says it all.
He
lost some, which
he's beaten both Kramnik and Anand in a match. That's not that many had that resume actually. If anyone else, I don't know. But so okay.
And let's look at one example from. This is New York 1994 against Vladimir Kramnik. I'm not sure. This is the PCA cycle or the...
I think this is the PCA cycle, yes. Where he ends up playing the final against Vichy, but gets crushed in Las Palmas, as I recall.
Right, he loses to Vichy in that one, but beats Vichy in the other cycle. Those were confusing times.
Yeah.
So this chess example that we've already seen one Botvinnik position in this series. Yeah. It's a super sharp opening. This was a topical line at the time. All of this is theory?
All this is known. And well, also, we get the impression, right, sort of with history being our guide, that Kramnik is sort of the strongest dominant theoretician of our time, while Kamsky is a practical player. Well, this game tells a different story. I think our story is generally right, but that Kamsky was not well prepared or not able to cope with the situation, or let's say not being afraid of Kramnik's preparation, well, this game shows pretty clearly. So just let's go forward. This is a typical position. Knight e5 takes queen d4. Yes. Actually, now sort of it has been revealed that this exact system was Anand's surprise weapon for playing Kramnik in the 2008 World Championship, where we basically analyzed this to be a forced draw, which still seems to be the computer evaluation. But before the match in 2008, this line was supposed to be kind of dead because of exactly this game between Kamsky and Kramnik, where, well, Kamsky wins it in beautiful fashion. So knight c6 happens, and now he sacrifices the queen.
So white gets two pieces, which is not enough, but also a powerful pass pawn on b5.
Yeah, it's more or less all about if this one queens or not. Now, Anand's preparation was king b8, and this has been played numerous times since. And okay, that becomes a theoretical thing. I think there must be other forums to discuss this, but that's a very interesting position. But he plays king c7, which I guess looks more logical, right?
I don't know. I know king b8 is the right move, so then it's hard to judge.
I agree. It's
king b8 covers a7. But yeah, this was nice homework. And of course, also at these times in these matches, guys weren't by themselves. No, everyone had helpers. I think Luke van Vele was working with Kamsky at some points. He's a Botvinnik specialist. There were some US guys.
Mm-hmm.
So clearly work was being done there, even if we don't think of Kamsky as a theoretician mainly.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this stuff, I haven't analyzed this deeply, but now it's already too late yet to just out-prepare Kramnik is...
Yeah, well, also, I mean, it's complicated. Rook c6 is threatening and such, right? As far as I recall, maybe this wasn't fully prepped. Maybe Kamsky was solving at the board, but it doesn't really make a huge difference in that sense and such. No, I think bishop c1 was the key move, right? You were getting the bishop to a3, and the things are basically collapsing, and that f2 drops. It doesn't matter that the c pawn is close to queening. It doesn't matter. It's just not in time. I mean, this is a seriously good game against, a scary opponent, right?
Very much so.
Yeah.
So that's Gata Kamsky. Oh yeah, this game ends here. No more defenses against checkmate. Oh yeah, another guy with sort of two careers, like his 90s career. In his youth, he was more of an established top player. But yeah, this 2007 victory in the World Cup, in a way, makes him more impressive.
Yeah, I think, well, in his youth career, he didn't quite make it. He got it to play Karpov, but lost queerly and such. And it turned out that Kramnik and Anand was the one who actually got to, fight for the sort of classical world title in the end, right? But then he has this interesting comeback late in his career and showed what a great player he is, and how, that he probably could have been even more had he chosen to, right?
Choices. Anyway, that was our number 46. Gata Kamsky. See you at 45.